dealers, you have your choice of Ammo Zero, the ethylene glycol type that lasts all season, and Amoco Super Antifreeze, also a splendid product and priced at $1 a quart. Whatever type you pick, you'll get your money's worth and more. The important thing is, don't delay. This is David Ross inviting you to listen to Edwin C. Hill at the same time again tomorrow. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
For good health and good flavor, say to your dealer,
a dozen Sunkissed Lemons, please.
Hedda Hopper's Hollywood. Miss Hopper is just going on the air. Will you listen, please? Hedda Hopper's Hollywood. Miss Hopper is just going on the air. Please listen. Hedda Hopper's Hollywood.
Yes, it's Hedda Hopper's Hollywood, told you by Hollywood's favorite columnist and brought to you this week from New York by the growers of Sunkissed Oranges and Sunkissed Lemons. Next week, winter starts officially. But here in New York and in most places, it arrived some time ago. And what goes more naturally with cold weather than a good cup of hot tea? The answer is a good cup of hot tea with lemon. Because tea and lemon are a natural combination, too. Lemon isn't just a fancy touch you add for decoration when you serve guests. Yes, of course, lemon does make the tea look sparkling and more appetizing. But the added flavor is really needed to make tea taste its best. So now that cold weather has made tea important on dinner menus, serve it with gay lemon slices and have squeezable lengthwise quarters for those who prefer more juice. Buy lemons by the dozen for economy and for their many uses. Buy Sunkissed for California's finest and juiciest. Now, Hedda Hopper with today's news in Hollywood and New York from New York.
Thank you, John King, and hello, everybody. Ginger Rogers' divorce from Lou Ayres becomes final in January. In March, Ginger marries Howard Hughes. Her mother, Lila, is looking for a New York home and will settle down here. Ernest Hemingway has been covering so much territory since his arrival in town that Don Frieda, who sold his story For Whom the Bells Toll, couldn't find him. But he finally caught up with Hemingway Saturday night at Hell's A-Poppin' and said, "Oh, by the way, I have a little slip of paper for you," and handed over a check for $100,000. Alfred Vanderbilt isn't losing any time since his separation. He was dancing cheek to cheek the other night with Dolly DeMilo, who is very well known in Hollywood. Metropolitan tenor Melchior, who has a beautiful estate in Denmark, cabled his caretaker there yesterday to put to sleep his prized 50 blooded dogs to keep them from starving. It isn't written in their contracts, but it was a personal agreement that the girls in that all-girl orchestra, which goes on for the Hour of Charm, remain single. Now it's developed that their chief soloist, Maxine, has been secretly married to a New York businessman for 3 years, and they'll have a blessed event in March. The beautiful Bea Amidon, who has completed her stay at Reno with the resultant diploma, spent the weekend at Arrowhead Hotel, California. 2 of our top glamour boys were fighting for her attention. One of them was supposed to have arrived here in New York, but he preferred Arrowhead. 'Tis said that Warners have paid $81,000 for the George Kaufman Moss Hart play, George Washington Slept Here, and you might apply that word slept to the audience. Norma Talmadge was operated on in the Hollywood Hospital this morning for goiter. Cobina Wright Jr. with a nice contract from 20th Century is taken up again with Bob Stack. Where, oh, where is Mary Beth Hughes? Norma Shearer is en route to New York. Again, wisdom tooth trouble. Bing Crosby's already bought his 4 boys their Christmas present, 4 Palomino ponies. The report that John Howard of the Racing Howards will marry Hedy Lamarr is far from correct. In the first place, she's going with John Howard, the actor, and not of the Seabiscuit family. And there's been no talk of marriage. So, said John Howard to me over the long-distance telephone. Last night I went over to the Algonquin for the first Sunday night supper party given by the American Theatre Wing for the relief of the British actors. And I'll be darned if it wasn't like old home week. In 15 years I haven't seen so many pals. I ran into Joe Hergesheimer, who used to come to Hollywood and sell his own stories. They treated Joe just like a visiting potentate, and how he loved it. He always stopped at the Jesse Laskey's, who immediately put a Rolls-Royce and chauffeur at his disposal. Joe would make out the guest list of all the people he wanted to see. He had a golf, tennis, swimming instructor standing by, and for a dancing companion, he had his choice of a blonde, brunette, or redhead. How would you like that, boys? Saw Helen Hayes and Maurice Evans there. Helen's coming to Hollywood this summer for part of her vacation. No more pictures. Helen made a very moving speech. Among other things, she said, "Well, I seem to be lost now without Mr. Shakespeare. And if anyone asks what's wrong with the theater, you have only to think of the players who are carrying on in London now, and your question will be answered." Then on to El Morocco, and whom do you suppose I found at the bar drinking milk? William S. Hart, our 70-year-old cowboy, who came to New York to sell his latest book. It was Liz Whitney who first took him to El Morocco, and John Perono, and everybody makes a terrific fuss over him, which is gratifying to Bill because in Hollywood he lives quietly on his ranch, and very few people know he's there. Then on to the Stork Club, where I ran smack into Fanny Ward, who's still wearing baby pink trimmings on her hat and gown. And in popped Jeanette MacDonald, Jean Raymond, with Helen Mencken, her sister, Mrs. Bert Lytell, and Helen's husband. You won't believe it, but Jeanette wore a whole pheasant on her hat. She's sad that she has to leave today for Hollywood because Jean has retakes with Carol Lombard. If you could have seen her reaching for a balloon which fell from the ceiling at the Stork Club at 1 a.m., you'd have had hysterics. She caught one, too, which got her a champagne supper at the Stork tonight, but she can't be there. She's on her way home. Bert Lytell couldn't join us. He was rehearsing with Gertie Lawrence, and for the first time in his life will sing 3 songs in Gertie's new play, which is called Cue for Passion. When Jeanette heard about Gertie's part, she planned to phone Metro and ask if they wouldn't secure the picture rights for her before the play even opens. Helen Mencken and I had lots to talk about. We first met in the Pied Piper Company with DeWolf Hopper. Hollywood gives William Farnham a party tomorrow night at the Teleview Theater to commemorate his 50th anniversary in show business. Then they'll show the old Norma Talmadge picture, Du Barry. Since Katie Hepburn's success in Philadelphia Story, every studio in Hollywood wants her. But Metro was lucky enough to get an option on her services. J. Carroll Nash, the villain, will play no more thugs. Now that his daughter's old enough to see pictures, he doesn't want her to see him as a murderer. He plays a decent citizen for a change in Road to Rio, likes it, and says from now on, no more heels, please. When Bill Ludigan was asked if he and Margaret Lindsay would soon wed, he said, "Well, I'm in love with her, but I have a feeling Margaret is too smart for me." Now there's a smart boy. The flu is still working havoc in Hollywood. Strawberry Blonde suspended shooting when Jimmy Cagney was taken home as a victim. The other day, when Charles Boyer and Margaret Sullivan were doing their hottest love scene in Back Street, half the script girls and secretaries were given time out to watch because they all have a passion for him. And as a gag, Maggie Sullivan held a kiss for 2 minutes, and when it was over, she slyly lifted Boyer's false hairpiece right off the top of his head, and were the girls furious. I don't know what it's all about the month of December, but believe it or not, Mary Martin, Grace Moore, Susanna Foster, Betty Grable, Irene Dunn, and Dottie L'Amour all have birthdays this month, and they all sing. Susanna Foster is trying to do a picture with the Los Angeles Junior Symphony Orchestra. You may remember my telling you about those children and what wonderful musicians they are before I left Hollywood. I asked in my column if my friends and fans wouldn't contribute $5 a year because some of the children weren't able to buy their own instruments. Since I've been here in New York, over 500 has been sent to my office for the support of the symphony. And now Susanna Foster and the orchestra have a radio deal pending, and they may do a picture together at Paramount. Alice Faye becomes a male impersonator on December 22nd when she ties on a couple of pillows, wears a beard, and becomes Santa Claus for 75 of Ann Lair's kids at a special holiday dance. She'll bring along the orchestra and dancers from her latest picture, The Road to Rio, and I'll be back there in time to tell you all about it. And now, to help you fill those pesky gaps in your Christmas list, a word from John King.
Maybe you feel, as lots of people do at this time of year, that somebody ought to invent a new kind of Christmas gift. A gift that doesn't cost too much, that's sure to please anybody, that can be given to one person or a whole family, that's equally welcomed by those who have everything and those who have little. And with all this, is typically in the Christmas spirit. Well, the inventors can rest, because there already is such a gift. It's Sunkissed California Oranges. A box of them, a half box, or a basket arranged by yourself to serve as a holiday centerpiece. If you've never given Sunkissed Oranges for Christmas, do it this year. Just take your Christmas list to your Sunkissed dealer and fill up the empty spots. You'll be thanked as never before. Now, Hedda Hopper continues the story of lovely Dorothy Lamour, star of Paramount's Moon Over Burma, which opens this week in many cities throughout the country.
Dottie gives her mother all the credit for her success. It was Mrs. Lamour who took Dottie to Chicago after she'd finished high school in New Orleans in order that she might get a chance to sing. It was Mrs. Lamour who persuaded her to go through with an audition for Herbie Kay, even though on the way to it she fell down, ripped her clothes, and muddied her face. This audition was the turning point for Dottie. She won and went a touring with Kay's band. Then, after several months, when the band was in Texas...
Gee, Herbie, will you ever forget that day at the Black Hawk when I came up on the platform for the audition?
Yeah, you were a sight.
You should have thrown me out.
Oh, I couldn't. I made up my mind even before you sang that anyone with courage enough to get up in front of that crowd, well, that's the kind of spirit I wanted in my band.
That wasn't my fault. Mother made me do it. But your patience is what amazes me. You work so hard showing me how to sell a song and how to act and 1,001 other things. Why have you done all that?
Oh, I don't know. I guess because I like you, or the boys in the band like you. Dottie, there's something I've been wanting to tell you.
Yes, Herbie?
You've learned all there is to learn with us. You want to be exposing yourself to really big opportunities.
You mean leave the band?
For your sake, yes. Traveling around here won't get you anywhere. You should be in New York.
Oh, but I'm happy here singing with the band.
No. You're too good for this. I think you ought to make the break, Dottie, for your own sake.
Let me think this over, Herbie. I'll let you know what I decide.
On Kay's advice, Dottie left, and with her mother went on to New York. She had a letter to Rudy Valley. Rudy heard her sing, liked her work, and arranged to have her sing for the man in charge of his program. When the audition was finished...
Thank you very much for singing for us, Miss... what's the name? I'm sorry I've forgotten.
Miss Dorothy Lamour. How did you like her, Ed?
Very interesting. Miss Lamour, I wonder if you'd pardon Rudy Valley and me for a few minutes. I want to talk with him before you both leave.
Why, certainly. I'll wait out here.
Thank you. Rudy, you want to step in my office for a minute?
Sure. I'll be right back, Dorothy. I hope with some good news for you. Well, Ed, what do you think of her?
Why, that girl can't even carry a tune.
What?
I know she's a friend of yours and all that, but you're too soft-hearted.
Oh, now, hold on a minute. I've been in this business long enough to know what I'm talking about. That girl's going to go places.
I'm afraid I don't agree with you.
Listen, put her on my show and I'll pay her salary myself. Now, what do you say to that?
No, Rudy, she isn't good enough no matter who pays her salary.
And that's final?
Definitely.
Okay, Ed. So long.
Sorry, Rudy.
Come on, Dorothy.
What's the matter, Rudy? Didn't they like me?
I'll tell you all about it later on. Come on.
All right, but where are we going?
We're going to call on some New York nightclubs. I'm going to get you a job if we have to visit everyone in town. Listen, Tony, that girl has a wonderful voice, and you know it.
Not for my money, she ain't. You're a great guy, Rudy. I'd like to do you a favor. Planting that dame in this place ain't going to be a favor to neither one of us.
Oh, now, look. If you didn't like that song, I'll have her sing another. You're passing up a great thing not giving her a tryout.
I can't use her. Why don't you try the Medina Club?
And we've been there.
And Morocco?
We just left it.
How about the Store Club?
Well, that's our next stop, unless you're interested.
No, Rudy. I ain't interested. Come around and see me again sometime.
Oh, I tell you, Sherman, she's the perfect type of singer for the Store Club. Now, you heard her. Now, what do you honestly think?
Personally, I think she's very good, but I don't know how she'll go over here.
Sherman, if you'll give her a tryout, just a couple of weeks, I'll come down from my own show every night and personally introduce her.
You mean every time she goes on, you'll make a personal appearance here?
That's right. I'm determined to prove to some people that this girl has what it takes.
Well, Rudy, if you're willing to chase down here yourself and introduce her every night, why, certainly I'll give her a 2 weeks try. Have a report tomorrow morning for rehearsal.
So, thanks to Rudy's friendship, Dottie got her first Manhattan break at the Store Club. Wednesday, I'll tell you how she got to Hollywood. Dottie was played by Jeanette Nolan, Herbie Kay by Eric Rolfe, and Valley by George Tiplady. Now, John King presents...
The new crop of Sunkissed Navel Oranges. This is a real feature of the winter season, and one that every member of the family is sure to enjoy. Each orange is a picture in itself, the finest produced in several years. Just try these Sunkissed Navels for juice. You can see the difference, a deeper, more inviting natural color. You can taste the difference, a keener flavor and extra richness. And don't forget, that extra richness means more vitamins and minerals. Sunkissed navels are seedless, too. Best for juice and every use. And now, Miss Hopper, any last-minute comment?
Nothing in Hollywood is funnier than the squibs running today in 3 prominent New York columns about Frank Otone, all telling about his latest romance, but naming 3 different girls, Olivia de Havilland, Alice Faye, and Peggy Moran. And so this is your Sunkissed correspondent, Hedda Hopper, saying good afternoon to some of you, good evening to more of you, and good luck to all of you.
The American Red Cross needs your help in its crusade of mercy. Join the American Red Cross now. Your Sunkissed spokesman, John Reed King. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.